So yeah, I'm just so thankful to be here with all of you, and thank you all for your support and just for coming together. So we're gonna get started. We'll just start in a seat, or feel free to make yourself comfortable in any other way. Welcome. Welcome to your practice. Welcome to the mat. And I just have something to share with y'all, something that has come up since I've been reviewing these past 3 weeks of these chakra classes, as I've been putting the recordings up on YouTube and Facebook. I've just been kind of rewatching them and seeing what comes through. And I want to touch on something before we get started here on the heart chakra. So I feel like it's important to emphasize that this power to create that we've been talking about in almost every class, this power to create what you want in this one life that you're given, it doesn't need to be some grandiose thing of creation. And sometimes I think that our social media influencers and our Western culture at large has fooled us into thinking that if we are not living some grand life, and if we're not known by thousands of people, then we're not doing our part and not making our mark. And so I just want to emphasize that when we talk about that power, that light that sits within, we're talking about these qualities that really only you have. And so these qualities that we've gone over are stability and creativity and passion. And then today we're on love. And these qualities are within all of us all the time. Though sometimes it seems that it's easier to see those qualities in other people. So I like to think of this practice as, for me, and when I share it, so that we can see these qualities within ourselves, and trust the qualities within ourselves. I taught Firefly yesterday, and the Titibhasana posture, and it's a similar thing like the firefly's light that flickers on and off. Even when the light is off, the firefly is still there. And just in the next moment, it will light up the whole space. And so this practice serves to remind us, each one of us, that we too embody the qualities of light and power and love and creation. And even if it's forgotten, sometimes we just need to pause long enough to feel it again, long enough to be reminded. And so let's come into the practice. Join me in a supported fish pose. I recommend a block under the shoulder blades and a block under the head. If you don't have 2 blocks and you're working with a bolster or a pillow, then just bring the bolster or pillow along the spine. So 1 block in between the shoulder blades. Position it in a way so that it's long ways and so that no edge is crunching in the shoulder blades. And so you might have to take your time to find your positioning. And then the back of the head is completely supported by the block. And in light of the heart, we want to open up through the chest. And so allow the arms to spread wide, palms face up. And once you arrive into your place of comfort, just take 3 cleansing breaths. I'm finding myself chilly. I'm going to go turn the air up a little bit. So one more cleansing breath, in through the nose, out of the mouth. And then just find a natural breath in and out of the nose. Noticing the breath as it fills the whole body. And then completely releases upon the exhale. And so in Sanskrit, the heart chakra is anahata. And the element that we're tapping into with this heart chakra is air. So you can imagine air is light and it flows freely. It can be anywhere at any time and fill any vessel. And so with that in mind, the purpose of finding balance in this heart space is expansion. And with that expansion, improved relationships, connection to the deepest, most truest version within yourself, and therefore that within the others. So through that, with a balanced heart chakra, we can also be sure to find union and balance and harmony. From the inside all the way out. So the location of this anahata is the center of the chest, or the thymus gland. So you can imagine right now with your arms spread wide, in the center of your chest, you can imagine a green light rotating in that space. It can be any shade of green that you find soothing. And as you breathe in, notice as that green light becomes brighter. And as you breathe out, notice as that light soothes every space around the heart. Just allowing the heart to soften with each exhale. And so the body parts that are associated and that we'll be working with tonight are the chest and the heart. Also the shoulder blades and the hands and the arms, as well as the lungs, diaphragm, and the whole respiratory system. So we'll take a 3-part breath now, also known as Durga breath. You can keep your arms where they are, or you can rest one hand on the belly and one hand on the heart. And if you've had your legs extended, you might choose to place feet together, knees apart for a Supta Baddha Konasana position. And then find the bottom of your exhale. And on your inhale, breathe in just 1/3 of the way, expanding the low belly and pause. Breathe in 2/3, expanding the ribs and pause. 3/3, expand the chest and the collarbones. Hold at the top. Let it go top to bottom, like you're drinking a nice cold glass of water. Pause at the bottom. Inhale 1/3 through the low belly. 2/3, expand the ribs. All the way in, let that green light at the heart expand. And then let it go. Do that 2 more times on your own. And after the second round, come back to a natural breath and just check to see if you feel different now in body, mind, spirit. compared to when you first laid down on your mat. And then begin to stretch the legs long and arms along the ears. Stretching from one side of the room to the next. You might even clasp your hands and squeeze the arms towards the ears. And then roll over to one side, coming into a momentary fetal position, supporting the head with the arm, knees towards the chest. And just take a few rounds of breath in this comforting, nourishing position. When you're ready, slowly begin to walk yourself up. And we'll come on to our hands and knees just for a few rounds of cat-cow. Beginning to open throughout the front of the body, as well as all along the spine. So if you'd like, you can place a blanket. I need to grab mine. You might place a blanket under your knees for just nice support. And so these next few postures, we will be on our knees, so it's highly recommended. And then just come back, and when you're ready, lower the belly on the inhale. Lift the gaze either forward or maybe up if you'd like to open through the front of the neck. And then exhale to push the breath away and round through the spine. Inhale to rise up and open. Exhale to fold in. So keep moving like that, just letting the breath move you. And a mantra that's associated with this heart chakra is the word YAM, Y-A-M. And this mantra promotes love, compassion, forgiveness, and self-acceptance, as well as full acceptance of others. And so you can begin to find that chant if you'd like, either expressing it out loud because we're all muted, or you can just say it in your mind. Yum, 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 yum. Next time your back is rounded, hold that. Shift the hips back towards the feet, but keep a slight round in the back. Keep the chin tucked in towards the chest. Imagine pulling the hands towards the knees, but keep them as they are. Looking for a deep stretch behind the heart, so in between the shoulder blades and around the shoulder sockets. So if you're not finding that, round the back even more. Let the chin drop to the chest. Shift hips back more. Take just 3 more breaths there. And then release down into a child's pose. Big toes together, knees apart. Reach for your blocks or pillow and place your forearms on them. If you don't have 2 blocks or 2 pillows, that's okay. Just allow the arms to rest on the ground. If you do have it, let the hands hang off the block and the forearms to be on the block. You can let the head hang, or if the forehead rests on the ground, do that. And so this is a way to let the heart melt down deeper than the shoulders. And so your arms are elevated, and you should feel a nice stretch in your shoulders. Allow yourself to breathe fully and to surrender into the stretch and compression. And so what we're doing in a hold such as this is softening the connective tissue or the fascia that surrounds the shoulders by creating more fibroblasts. And these fibroblasts are cells within the connective tissue that create hydration. And they only increase as we compress, stretch, and twist through the joints. So what this does is it allows more of a slide and glide ability through the shoulder sockets. Take just 5 more breaths here. And ask yourself if you can soften even more. When you've completed your 5 rounds of breath at your own pace, work your way back up. Back up into that tabletop position. And so we're going to stretch through our hands to get the blood flowing from our heart all the way to our fingertips. So bring the tops of the wrists to the mat so that the fingertips are pointing towards your knees. Now for some of us, we're just going to be on the wrists, on the knuckles, and others might be all the way on the backs of the hands. As always, it doesn't matter how far you go, but that you're only coming to that first stretch edge, stretching through the front of the wrist, and we'll rock front and back. You can come back to that mantra, yam, yam, yam. Feeling your space of love and compassion expanding each round. You might begin to rock side to side here. Just take about 3 more breaths. Good, and then release it. You can just sit down onto your heels if you'd like, or if you'd like to stretch through the toes, you can tuck the toes under and sit on the heels, stretching the fascia of the feet as we just flick the wrists out. So you can envision the blood going from your heart all the way through the veins in both arms, and maybe you're flicking something out with the fingertips, something that holds you back from really being loved, from really accepting you, accepting others. Good. And then come back. And this time we'll bring the palms on the ground, so stretching the inside of the forearms, just as far as you come to that edge, and then rock gently front and back. Keep breathing in and out of the nose. And so far we've found 2 ways to focus the mind tonight. One way is that mantra, yam. And the other way is visualizing the green light, expanding with the inhale and softening with the exhale. So in these next few moments, I ask you just to come to one of those, especially if you find, oh yeah, you can rock side to side. Especially if you find that the mind is wandering. Those are really good practices to stay in this experience, stay in the body. And then go ahead and release back. You can sit on the heels again. You can tuck the toes. And once again, we'll flick the fingers out as the blood rushes from the heart to the fingertips. Again, what holds you back from really fully expressing and being compassion and love and acceptance. Go ahead and shake the wrist a little bit. Good. And then we'll come into melting heart, also known as puppy pose. So with knees, so you might want to just watch first where we go. So if you know where we're going, you can go into it. Otherwise, just watch me. I'm going to take us to version 1. Version 1 is having a block under the chest. maybe at the low position. We'll start actually block under the chest at the high position. We want to check that our hips are above the knees. And then make sure that the other block is in a position that it can support your head. And so I like to have the blocks in the same height, but you might practice with a different position. You can also choose, I'm just giving you all these options because we have all different bodies, and so we have different needs. So you can choose to place a bolster under your chest if that feels nice, and a block or other pillow under the head. What we're looking to do is extend the arms forward. And once again, allow compression through the shoulder sockets. If you don't feel like you come to your edge in either one of those options, you can also see about just bringing the chest to the ground and forehead to a block, or maybe the chin to a block. And as we talked about last week, actually probably every week, just because you're not at an edge in the physical body, that doesn't mean that you're not at an edge. So check in to see if in these postures, if the physical body is okay, but maybe if the mental or emotional body is starting to act up, or if the mind wants to wander, that's an indication that maybe you're in a place that is a little too far, that maybe you can soften ever so slightly. Find the bottom of your exhale. And on your next inhale, breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. Out 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 3, 2, 1. Do that one more time on your own. And then just find 3 rounds of a natural breath cycle. And when you're complete, come to your belly. Coming into crocodile pose. And if you have that blanket under your knees, keep it as it is. Let the blanket support the pelvis. Allow one cheek to come to the mat, and allow the palms to face up by your side. Allow the toes to fall in and the heels to fall out. And allow your feet to soften. And allow your calves to soften. Allow the backs of your knees to soften. And your thighs and buttocks to soften. Allow the fingertips and the arms and the shoulders to melt down towards the earth. And allow the heart to soften. And then turn the face to the other side so that opposite cheek is to the mat. And allow the face to soften, the jaw, and the eyebrows, and the forehead, and the crown of the head. Just let it all soften. And you can stay here for as long as your body wants to stay here. You can stay here for the remainder of class if this feels like the place that you need to be. If you'd like to move on, you can come into a Sphinx with me by lifting up onto your forearms with the elbows under the shoulders. And we're looking to open the heart tonight. So your choice what you do with the belly. You can let the belly be soft. You can pull the navel into the spine. But just remember that what you do with the belly might affect the low back. But we're not really drawing our awareness there. I want you to draw your awareness to your chest. And think about drawing the shoulder blades down and back, lifting up from the center of that heart. Come back to visualizing that green wheel rotating in that space. And if you'd like to find a little movement of the neck, feel free to. You can draw half circles with the neck, or maybe just breathe into the back of the neck by tucking the chin into the chest. You can take a few rounds of breath into one side and then the other. So opening these spaces that surround the heart. So that the heart can be more free to trust, can be more free to really see, and therefore to have complete compassion and love and acceptance for what is in front of it. We'll find the bottom of our exhale. And on your next inhale, breathe in through the belly, and then the ribs, and then the chest, and the collarbones. Let it go from top to bottom. So it's like you're drawing a C with the breath. Letting the breath rise from the bottom all the way up to the top. Feeling as it expands and fills every space. And release from top to bottom, feeling as every space simultaneously releases and lets go. You can hold this for as long as you like, but eventually come onto your belly, back to that cobra. Back to that crocodile pose. And you can stack one hand over the other and rest the forehead on top of the back of the hand. Or you can come one cheek to the mat. Allow your hips to rock side to side. And so in doing these slight back bends, opening through the heart, so this Sphinx, and then next will be the Cobra, we allow the breath to become deeper, thus activating Anahata and unblocking any energy that might be stuck in that space. The heart center is the home of all of our emotions. And so it's important to open the chest in slow motion without pushing ourselves into it. Breathing slowly and deeply will teach us to become more patient with ourselves and just stay present in this one experience. And so if you'd like, you can come back into that Sphinx position. That's a great place to be. And if you'd like to just continue practicing that, then just be there. You can also spread the hands wide with the fingers pointing off the mat and begin to push yourself up, coming into a cobra position. Elbows can be slightly bent, or you can choose to straighten them. Allowing the gaze to be forward, or maybe the chin is heavy into the chest. Find the position of the head that makes the neck and shoulders feel really good and supported. And again, breathe through the whole front of the body. Again, relax your feet and your legs and your buttocks and your heart and your face. And then take a big breath in and hold it at the top. See if you can sip in a little bit more. When it's time to exhale, when you can't hold any longer, let it go slowly, one vertebrae at a time. One more time, coming into crocodile, forehead on stacked palms. Allow whatever needs to dissipate. So just stay in stillness. And then feel free to bend the knees and windshield wiper the feet side to side. So from here, we'll work our way into the 8-point front deltoid stretch. I invite you to bring your pillow or block, but I'm going to use pillow to be under your head. And we'll start with our left side. So scoot over to the right side of the mat. And your left arm is going to be extended out. So I'll show you from this direction. So the left arm is extended out with the left palm in line with the right palm face down. And you're going to have the right side of the head to the mat. And so we're just looking to find a stretch through the front of the delt. And so you can work your way up, maybe just you don't go very far and you just have left knee stacked on top of the right. Maybe you work your way open so that the left foot is to the ground. And that's kind of a far version. I'd say this is like version C. Version B would probably be with maybe the toes on the ground. And version A would be with the left knee still on the ground in front of the right knee. So again, that palm is face down. Just enough to find that first stretch sensation in the front of the right shoulder. You might come back to visualizing that green light expanding and growing brighter and filling every space as you breathe in. And then allowing a natural, easy softening as you breathe out. No gripping, no fighting, no judgment of what's there. Just allowing what is to be. Stay here for as long as you like. And when you're ready, slowly come back to the center. No rush. When you come back to the center, allow both arms to extend along the body. Palms by the hips face up. Allow the shoulders just to round. You might just notice the sensation of energy dissipating through that left arm. And in your own time, we'll work our way to the other side. Just whenever you are ready. because we're kind of working at our own pace, I invite you to take the amount of breaths or be with it in this almost the same amount of time. So just trust your body to let you know when you're even on each side. And when you are, just come back to that center resting position. And so a really cool thing about this heart chakra, and also why it's so important to keep this space protected and nourished and in balance, is that this is the energy realm that connects the three chakras that connect us to the physical world, to the three that connect us to the spiritual world. And so if this chakra is imbalanced, or if we're stuck here in any way, that can also prevent us from rising up into a higher state of consciousness and connection. And a good indicator of when you're balanced in this space would be when you can look at yourself and just feel love. When you can look at others, no matter loved ones or strangers, and just feel an unconditional love with no judgment. Our relationships are harmonious, and we build healthy friendships and social connections based on trust and loyalty. This is also the energy center that teaches us to accept ourselves, others, and all that is around us with an open heart and joy. Slowly begin to walk yourself up into a seat. And we'll come into a butterfly posture. And so you should still have your blanket here. I'm going to have you just reposition it so that it'll come right under your tailbone and our feet will be off the blanket. Soles of the feet together, knees apart. You might need to just position a few times, take your time, so that the feet are fairly far away from the hips. And in our other classes, we've, held it by pushing the knees down, but we're not going to do that today. I just want you to let the knees be where they are. And if you'd like, you can take a pillow or a block underneath either knee, just to find a little bit of lift, a little bit of support. Yeah, like so. And then I just want you to place your palms face up and just lean forward from the low back, not from the mid back. And so leaning kind of from the pelvis. That's why we have the blanket underneath us to help get a little lift. And this should just begin to round through the spine and let the chin drop in towards the chest. To help yourself really arrive here, you can shake the head no if you'd like, or even shake the head yes. You can do any other movements that you feel that your body could use to drop down into this posture and just let go. And as you're breathing here, you can come out of it anytime you like. But I have a little story to share with you. It's a common Buddhist story, and it's about letting go. So maybe many of you have heard it. I always find it to be a nice reminder. So there was an old farmer who had worked his crops for many years in India. And one day his horse runs away. And upon hearing this news, the neighbors come to visit and they exclaim, "Oh, neighbor, what bad luck. We are so sorry for you." And a few days later, the wild horses come running up to his pasture. And the neighbors exclaim, "Oh, how wonderful." And both times the farmer just says, "Well, maybe, we'll see." And the following day, the farmer's son tried to run one of the horses. And unfortunately, he was thrown off and he broke his leg. And the neighbors heard and they came over. And of course, they announced with their sympathy, "Oh, neighbor, we're so sorry for your son." And he said, "Yeah, we'll see." And so the next day, military officials came to the village to announce drafting young men into the army. And seeing that the young boy's leg was broken, they passed him by. And the neighbors responded in joy. And again, the farmer just said, "We'll see." In your own time, slowly rise up, as slow as humanly possible. And then we'll extend our legs. Allow the hands to come behind you. Coming into a momentary hammock pose. You can let the fingertips point forward. And depending on the energy you'd like, you can extend up through the heart. That'd be if you're wanting more energy tonight, if you really still have some energy to let go of. Or maybe you just choose to melt through the shoulders. So both of those options are balancing to the heart chakra. So the key is listening to what the heart wants in this moment. Does it want to be expanded? Or does it want to cave in and just be protected? Pausing long enough to listen to the subtle messages. Go ahead and walk the sole of your left foot on the inside of the right thigh. The bottom should stay on that blanket. And grab your bolster or pillow or 2 blocks. And we'll place our right arm on that bolster. And we'll let our left arm extend up and along the left ear. So revolved head to knee pose. So if you find that this posture just doesn't feel good on the shoulder, you can let that left hand rest in the lap and still just lean to the right. And if it feels safe to the neck, you can let the right ear drop down towards the right shoulder. And then find the bottom of your exhale. On your inhale, breathe in through the left hip, the left lungs, the left side of the heart, the left arm, left fingertips. Breathe out, fingertips, arm, lung, hips. Do that on your own, just tracing the left side of the body. Noticing that each time you breathe out, it's a natural allowance for the body to let go into this form. Do that just 2 more times, tracing the left side body. And after your second round, see if you can just breathe naturally. and yet still have the mind be focused on this moment, on this experience. Between now and 3 breaths from now, take your time as slow as possible. Work your way up. And just take a moment, allowing the spine to be over the pelvis. You might close the eyes and just soften in a space of stillness to allow whatever came up on that side to gently release itself, trusting that it will. And in your own time, work your way to the other side. Left leg extended. Sole of the right foot on the inside of the left leg. Bolster on the inside of that leg. And before we fold, check to see that that left foot is soft. That the left leg is soft from the thigh all the way down to the shin and the calf. And then the left forearm is going to come to the bolster, palm face up. Choose to keep that right hand in the lap or right arm along the right ear. Maybe the left ear drops heavy onto the left shoulder. Bottom of your exhale. On your next inhale, breathe in through the left hip, the left lung, the left shoulder, left arm, left fingertips. Exhale, left fingers, arm, lungs, hip. Do that on your own. 3 more rounds. And just watch as each exhale subtly soothes the spaces that it passes. Just an easy letting go. And then come back to your natural breath when you're ready. And so the point in sharing the farmer story is to say that we just don't know how life is going to evolve. Of course, we want to know, but we just can't. You can think about your past relationships or past jobs. Could you possibly imagine at that time that they would have led you to where you are now? Could you have known then what really would bring you happiness and peace now or in the future? If it's time to rise up, then rise up. If you'd like to stay longer, then stay longer. And when you rise, find that place of stillness with the spine over the pelvis. And just be there for a moment. And so we just have our ideas of how things should be. And sometimes we're hooked on these ideas. And we filter our reality. And almost how we think in order to inform us of the truth. But maybe we should be more like the farmer. And when something happens, just shrug the shoulders, let the heart stay relaxed, and say, we'll see. Let's come onto our back. And we'll see what happens next. From your back, hug the knees into the chest. You can choose to find a tight ball if you'd like, wrapping the forearms around the shins. Or you can choose to let the knees drop out towards the underarms, and maybe you rotate through the wrists, and maybe you rock the body side to side. And then release your feet down, grab your block and place it under your hips for a supported bridge pose. We'll just be here for a short moment. So that block should come right around the place where your pant pockets would be if you had them. You can let the hands rest on the belly. And let the hips just drop super heavy into the block. And if this is your place, then stay here. Or maybe you choose to find waterfall by lifting the feet above the hips. And so this is one of my all-time favorite positions. I do this almost every night before going to bed. It calms the nervous system because it allows the heart to, or the blood to flow in opposite direction than what the body's used to. With the heart being below the hips and the legs. So that means that the heart has a chance to finally relax. It doesn't have to beat as hard to keep the blood moving through the body. It can just soften and let go. And so you might allow just a natural smile to arise from within, knowing that as you're here in this posture, that space where you embody your highest form of love and compassion, is just being allowed to finally rest. Slowly work your feet down. Release the block from the hips. And we'll prepare for Shavasana by either placing a bolster under the knees or a block under either knee. Allowing the knees to be slightly bent so that you can find release in the low back. I recommend placing a blanket over your hips maybe for extra grounding, or over the whole body for warmth. Allow the palms to face up by your side. And you might even lift the shoulders up slightly, tucking the shoulder blades in towards each other, encouraging more of an open heart. And then when you get to your place where you can really be comfortable and be still, take a full breath in. Hold it momentarily at the top. Sip in a little bit more air. When you let it go, really let it all go. Like you're just melting down in towards the earth. Trust the support below you and just soften. Ask yourself if you can soften even more. Be heavier. I have an E.E. Cummings poem to share with you. It's called Letting Go. Let all go. The big, small, middling, the tall, bigger. Really the biggest in all things. Let all go, dear. And so comes love. Take a breath into your heart. Let it release. As you come back to your physical body, I ask you to just remember to come back to this form and to this tangible world with those qualities that you deeply and fully embody. Your qualities of love, your qualities of passion, your qualities of creativity, and your qualities of stability. Trust and believe that all of those are so fully a part of the dynamic being that is you. And then roll over to one side, supporting the head with the arm. Knees into the chest. Coming from corpse pose to fetal pose. Signifying that each time we come to our mat, it's an opportunity to be reborn. So tonight, here is an opportunity to restart with a new lens and love and compassion. Push yourself up to a seat. And bring all of that love that we just created back to your heart center. And envision holding the love that rests within you, that rests within each one of us, that rests between our spaces. And so here we are, each in our own homes, in all different locations. And yet the love that is within each one of us is shared between us. And we have the power to go and spread that love further and further out. Embodying that, let's take a final breath together, in through the nose. And let it all go. The highest love in me deeply appreciates the highest love within each one of you. Namaste. I love you all dearly. Thank you for practicing with me.